What's going on? Sold Not For Sale. Whew, it has been a day. This is episode 458 of the Sold Not For Sale podcast, and we're getting right into it. It's Tucker Carlson and Ron DeSantis. I did not know that this was happening. Tucker went extremely hard. I'm talking about 8 to 9 hours of him just interviewing presidential candidates, and a lot of these interviews turned into debates, and Tucker was on the side of the people the whole time. No softballs. Everything was getting pushed back, and he was asking the questions that we would all want to ask if we were sitting in front of a presidential candidate. He did great. Now, with Ron DeSantis, there seems to be, I don't want to say a friendship, but they're very civil with each other, and they're both willing to rib at each other a little bit, laugh together a little bit. And I really did like the interaction quite a bit. In this clip I'm going to show you, they're touching on a certain president's son and a situation that happened at the White House where somebody found a bag of something. And they're touching on the Ukraine conflict. They're touching on the economy in America and what needs to happen there. America first kind of attitude. They're touching on centralized digital currencies for the nation and what DeSantis' stance on that is. So they're touching on some pretty important things, and I think it's worth watching. Definitely, I watched the whole thing twice, and I think this chunk that I'm about to show you is some of the most important stuff that they touch on in terms of what should be important to the people. So before I bring you there, you know I have to bring you to the store. This is IamCoachColin.com. Check it on out. We have the newest design here. It is the Sold Not For Sale shirt with the stars and stripes atop of it, the red, white, and blue, as beautiful as always. If you want to grab that shirt, you go here, you go to America's Sold Not For Sale, and you check out the new catalog that we have for every single one of you. We have 3 t-shirts for men and women, tank tops for men and women, and a hoodie if you love the punishment of summer heat like myself. Again, we have all sorts of designs for you guys. We have Sold Not For Sale, the black edition, which comes in other colors as well, the anti-WEF clothing, and the Great Resist clothing. All of that can be found at IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off, here's what you do. You go to the discount code area when you're about to buy something. You put in I am Coach Colin. All capital letters, all one word, one L in the Colin, and that's it. You got yourself 10% off. You're welcome very much. And if you're someone who has purchased something from our site, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're much appreciated. Now let's get into the actual clip. Let's go.
Finally, in Florida, we got rid of the Confucius Institutes that they put in universities. We cracked down on them being able to do research dollars to our universities, and we banned any purchase of land by the CCP in the state of Florida.
So given that
the thing, though, you have to do what's based on our interests. You can't subcontract out our interests to a foreign leader. You can't want it to go on because it'll be good for defense contractors or, globalist investors. It's all about what's in our interests. And I think we're basically in a situation with our foreign policy. We're providing a blanket security to Europe. They're not paying their fair share. And we're not doing what we need to do to project power in the Pacific. At the end of the day, the CCP respects hard power. And I'm concerned that because a strong America can deter conflict, I think a weak America may be on the path to inviting conflict with China. And if we continue to be weak abroad and allow our culture to deteriorate here at home, we can have a situation where our kids or grandkids are studying, memorizing 37 different pronouns in Mandarin, and we can't have that. So we've got to do better as a country. We need to reverse the decline of this country because it is happening very, very quickly.
So you inherit this mess a year and a half from now, say, and let's just say it's static, it's where it is right now. What do you do about it? How do you act?
One, Europe needs to do more. This is their backyard. We have NATO countries that don't produce support for their own defenses. And we're supposed to do it, and we're taking away weapons and ammo that could go to respond to contingencies overseas. So we would do more in terms of the Pacific. And the goal should be to bring it to a conclusion. You bring it to a conclusion in a way that's a sustainable peace and that doesn't reward aggression, and you have to be able to use different levers that you have. I mean, for example, one of the leverages I would use vis-a-vis Russia is I would do our own energy exploration and send it over to Europe so they don't have to rely on Putin. I would stop giving Iran a free pass like Biden is because they're funding Russia. So we have some ability to use this, but the goal should be we cannot have a quagmire that goes on for years and years. And seeing Biden put those troops there, I can tell you, we cannot have American troops in Ukraine. That is a total non-starter.
So why, I mean, you've got a whole Congress, and there are a ton of Republicans there. They claim they run the House. I haven't heard anybody say that. Why?
Well, no, I think some of them tried to say that there should be.
Yeah, they lost badly. I think they got 33 votes.
They did, but I think there are some people that said you need to define the mission before you're able to send any American tax dollars over. No, by the way, they haven't even been able to account for all this. So we don't know who's coming across the southern border. We don't know where all the money sent to Ukraine is gone. We don't know whose cocaine it was in the White House. I mean,
what's your guess on that? I'm sorry, I mean.
Let me put it this way. We have issues in Florida with parents' rights, and they're trying to put pornography in the schools. I think a lot of you have seen this. It's sad that this is the case. We allow the parents to blow the whistle. You can get it out. And our message to people has basically been like, look, adult material does not belong in a fifth grade classroom. You know, if you want to see the pornography, just check out Hunter's laptop. I'm sure you can have that till your heart's content.
Is that available in your schools?
Hopefully not.
My kids are older, I don't know. So how concerned are you that in the wake of whatever the next economic disruption that we're going to face is, and everyone kind of feels like maybe there's something coming, that will wind up with digital currency issued by the central bank?
Well, if I am the president on day one, we will nix central bank digital currency. Done, dead, not happening in this country. In the state of Florida, because the Fed has been talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
And what the Fed said was, well, you know, we wouldn't do it without consulting the legislative and executive branches. Ideally, we would get a law passed. No. That's not how the Constitution says. It's only ideal that you get a law passed. You would have to get a law passed. I don't think Congress would pass that. So I think the Fed may try to do something unilaterally. So what we did in Florida is we basically passed a law that says we do not recognize CBDC in the state of Florida. And I think other states are probably going to follow suit. That will jam their ability to do it through executive action. They don't have authority to do it. There'd be lawsuits and everything. For those who don't know what CBDC is, what they want to do, and this is tied in with like Davos, World Economic Forum, all these people. They want the Fed, they want to get rid of cash. They want no cryptocurrency, and they want this to be the sole form of legal tender. And they have said this publicly at like Davos and these other places. It will allow them to prohibit, quote, undesirable purchases like fuel and ammunition. And so the minute you give them the power to do this, they are going to impose a social credit system on this country. CBDC is a massive threat to American liberty. On January 20th, 2025, it goes to the ash heap of history in this country.
So if you were to become president, and previous presidents have discovered this, so you and the vice president too, but you're the only elected leaders in an executive branch that's the largest human organization in history. Millions of people, work for you. And a lot of them just hate you because they're all partisan Democrats. And they work to subvert you from day one. And again, we've just seen this at scale. What do you do about that? Like, what do you do about the FBI or the CIA or agencies that are heavily armed and have intel capacities that you don't have, and like they're vast? How do you manage that?
With me on day one, you get a new director of the FBI. We need that. That's going to happen. So I think a couple things. One, there are thousands of positions in the executive branch that are appointed by the president. You got to have all those people ready to go to be submitted to the Senate in January of 2025. You can't wait 2 years to fill all the positions because then these career bureaucrats, they just take over. So you got to have your people in there on day one.
So I let the clip run a little long because I always love to hear about the FBI and CIA and what to do about them. Obviously, DeSantis, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's a Trojan horse, this, that. You know, it's hard to not think that about any politician because they always say the right things. They say the perfect things. They say the things that you want to hear. And then when you get in bed with them, you know, it's a whole different story. I mean, we've seen that countless times. I think the only time we haven't seen it fully is with Trump. I'm going to be honest. So I get it when people have doubts about DeSantis, but I will say one thing. When it comes to Trump, when it comes to DeSantis, I have not heard Trump denounce central bank currencies. I have not heard him denounce what is the precursor to a social credit system on this continent, because if the US falls to it, Canada will fall to it because it will have to. It'll just make sense. It'll make things easier between the two countries. So in reality, what the president does when it comes to this actually holds two countries, maybe even Mexico as well. It holds 2 or 3 countries in the balance. So I have not heard Trump denounce it. I have not. I've heard RFK talk about it. He's saying things in the same line as what DeSantis is saying here. I would love to hear that from him. That would make me so happy if I could just hear him say that he doesn't want anything like that and he won't have anything like that in the country, because it is the precursor to a social credit system. And then 100%, this entire continent is on the way to becoming just like China. It goes without saying. Like, look into it. If you don't know about it, look into it. It's terrible what they have going on. But yeah, he said all the right things. I love the way he touched on Hunter. And you see what I mean with him and Tucker? They kind of have this, you know, they're willing to kind of go back and forth. Maybe it's because DeSantis is a little more media trained, so he's able to, you know, pop back when Tucker kind of pushes, because Tucker is a funny guy. The way he threw out that, what are your thoughts on that, when he was talking about picking up that little baggie that was found in the White House. And then DeSantis actually touched on, and watch how he did this very presidentially. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Very, very politician-like. He did this very, very clever. He said, let me just tell you, and he started talking about parents. So he didn't say anything about it being Hunter's little baggie that was found, but he did start talking about parents, and it's kind of touching on, like, you know, parents have the right, like, so it's kind of touching on, you know, this being Biden's son's little baggie that was found in the White House. Yeah, I like it. I like DeSantis. You know, I am wary of him. You know, if you were watching, I kind of went like this because they brought up the Republicans having 33 votes. Anytime I see that number pop up, you know, sometimes numbers are just 33, but when you see it pop up in the government, it kind of means something's up. It's kind of a sign of things. I don't know if you ever recognize that. Look out for it the next time something happens, you know, whether it's like the address of a place or how many votes or how many people, whatever happened, like, you know, just look out for the number. It pops up when things are afoot. So I just noticed that. I think DeSantis handled this pretty well. This was like the most important chunk, in my opinion. They talk about a lot of other things, but it's just basic politics stuff. There's no heated exchanges between the two, because DeSantis tends to keep it pretty light whenever he talks to someone, as a politician should. I mean, what happened with Pence was just a massacre, because, you know, Pence is, he's, I don't even know what to say about that guy. Just a ridiculous display from that gentleman the other day. But that is the exchange between Tucker Carlson and DeSantis. I like it a lot. And I'll say again, the fact that Tucker was even able to do this, it might mean that he's won the battle between him and Fox. That's what this might mean. I'm thinking that, because this was something that they were trying to stop from happening. And I know it's more so the debates that he wanted to host, and people wanted him silent for that time. But this is very in line with that. It's not a debate, but every candidate, almost every candidate, was there, and they did get to speak their piece. So I think Tucker might be coming out of the woods on this one. And he's starting a media company. If you did not watch my video about that, go check it out. It is called Tucker Carlson's Media Company is Happening, because it actually is happening. He's raising money as we speak. So that should be really fun to see. And again, DeSantis, I like his stance. I like what he says. I don't know if he's going to deliver on it. If he is a Trojan horse, then all of this is just a ruse. But you kind of, when you're listening to someone talk, you got to kind of live in two worlds. You got to know that he's a politician and maybe he's just talking the talk. And then you also have to live in the world of this is his stance on things. You know, you can't just be like, oh no, he's lying. Everything's a lie, because then your whole world falls apart. If you're living that type of life, trust me, it's not the thing to do. You gotta see reality, and then you gotta read between the lines. You gotta know what happens usually with politicians, but you can't just be like every single one's a liar all the time, or else you're just living it's tough. It's tough. So I will take that as his stance on things, and it does look good. It does sound good. Again, I have not heard Trump denounce central bank currencies, digital central bank currencies, the precursor to a social credit score system. I have not heard him denounce that. I need to hear him denounce that. I think all of you should need to hear him denounce that. And I don't know why anybody has not pushed him on that or questioned him on that at all. But we've heard what DeSantis thinks. He's already stopping it in Florida. Hopefully more governors do actually put that into action, what he said, just not recognizing it at all. That would be perfect. And other than that, like the video. Helps so much. Boosts us out of the shadow realm. Thanks so much for watching. Episode 458, I think. We're climbing up there. Like the video. Helps so much. Other than that, I am out. Subscribe.